Thank you very much for everybody coming out to meet with us today and being on the expert panel. Hello. First and foremost, the most important thing that you need to know is that you, as the intended parents, have the ability to create your own journey. That you, as my colleagues up here have said, the people that you put behind you will make your success. The IVF clinics, the psychologists, the lawyers that you work with, the agencies, do your homework. There's many people for you to talk to, and you should get yourself an education before you leap in and start the process. Some of the things I'm supposed to discuss today are the relationship that you should have with the surrogate and or the donor. In terms of egg donors, these women are between the ages of 21 and 29 years old. We were all at that age. We were all in college. And their priority is their life and not necessarily having a relationship with the parent that they're giving up their eggs to. In some cases, when we're talking about same-sex couples or a single gay parent, there are interests where you want to be able to either meet with the donor once or have the ability maybe when the child turns 18 years old, if they're interested in seeking out who their biological mother is, you can make arrangements with the attorneys that you're working with to put some sort of clause in your legal contract that will state that in the event that the child wants to reach out at that time when the child is 18 years old. So that's something that you should keep in the back of your mind, that if it's something that you're interested in, that there is a possibility, and the agency that you're working with where you select your egg donor should be able to ask the egg donor if that's something that they would be interested in before you even get matched with them. So it can give you a little bit of sense of security there. In terms of your relationship with the surrogate, your surrogate wants a relationship with you. There's very, very few surrogates that don't want to have any kind of relationship. Some parents want more, some want less. So it really kind of depends. I really try to tell parents that it's an organic relationship that will develop over time. In the beginning, when you're just starting the process, there's really not very much communication because there's really not much going on. Once you start the IVF cycle and there's appointments and a positive pregnancy test, you're going to want to go to those milestone appointments. The ultrasounds, the first doctor visit with the obstetrician. You're going to want to go to court together. And as the pregnancy keeps going and the appointments become more frequent, you are going to be having more of a relationship. Try to tell parents that after a child is born, there's always a little bit of nervousness about how much relationship should be there afterwards. Most surrogates like to have some type of holiday card or birthday card showing the development of the baby as the child is getting older. But mostly I just tell you that you will see what your relationship is like with the surrogate. And as that progresses, most parents usually remain in contact with their surrogates after the baby has been born. So don't put so much pressure on yourself at this point, and you'll just see how organically your relationship grows together as things progress. Let's see. Things like selective reduction, termination. Those are things that really need to be discussed with your agency when you're starting to look for a surrogate, and it needs to be made sure that you get matched with a surrogate who has the same beliefs that you do. We talk about things like when you're interviewing a surrogate, in the event that you find out that the child has a genetic flaw and you want to be able to terminate a pregnancy, would the surrogate be willing? You need to create these different types of scenarios when you're interviewing surrogates and when you're speaking with the agencies on how you feel about the position. No one can sit here right now and say, oh, absolutely, I want to terminate this pregnancy or I don't want to terminate this pregnancy, because you never know what kind of abnormality, congenital or otherwise, that will be found during the pregnancy. And you need to leave yourself open to the possibility that this is something that you want. And if you want to have a possibility to reduce a pregnancy or to terminate a pregnancy, then you need to make sure that you are matched with a surrogate who has the same beliefs that you do. You don't want to be into a pregnancy and find that you need to terminate a pregnancy or reduce a pregnancy, and your surrogate says, I'm not about to do that. It is her body, and she does not have to undergo the procedure, which I'm sure your lawyers will tell you. So it's really important that you have a very good sense of knowing what it is that you want in your surrogate, what your beliefs are, and how you want to move forward in your surrogacy process. Let's see. stress during possible stress and tensions between partners and varying degrees of motivation. On some level, surrogacy is always going to be about a financial component. Don't fool yourself. There is always going to be a financial component to it. It shouldn't be their primary motivation. The primary motivation is obviously to provide a child to a parent or a couple so that they can start a family. But there is a financial component to it, and you just need to make sure that the agency is screening your surrogates well enough to know that their motivation isn't being run by the financial component. In terms of biological father, we highly recommend that if you want to have your children, if you want to have one child now, potentially a sibling project later on, that the eggs that are retrieved from the egg donor be split and shared between the two partners. Because we don't know, once again, where these college gals are going to be in a few years from now. And if you come back to the agency wanting that same donor so your children are biologically linked, there's a possibility that that donor won't be around anymore. Or maybe has completed all of her maximum egg donations, which is 6, and cannot donate anymore. And then your children won't be biologically linked. So if you're very highly motivated in terms of wanting to be able to have your children biologically linked, then you need to talk to your IVF carrier, your IVF doctor about splitting the eggs that are given from the egg donation and fertilized with both of your specimens. That's over there.
Wow, great.
According to my paper.
We have a little extra time. I want to thank all of the panelists. A tip of the iceberg bit of information that hopefully today we're going to fill in a little bit more for each of you. And I know you have